Having had to sit out the pandemic, gamers from all over the world were waiting for the return of large gaming conventions like this year's Gamescom. When news broke that E3 would not take place in 2022, people began worrying about the future of gaming conventions. Perhaps even rightfully so, given that, in the case of E3, much of its appeal has been taken over by publishers and developers using other formats to independently market their games. It is therefore not surprising to see quite a number of people arguing that the time of physical gaming conventions is a relic of the past. However, I would like to use this video essay to speculate about the future of gaming conventions like E3 and Gamescom to make a point for their importance. My name is Chris, and this is Gamer's Delight. As you might infer from the timing of this video, I got the inspiration for this topic when I attended Gamescom in late August. It wasn't my first time, quite the opposite. I consider myself a somewhat regular attendee, but this year's Gamescom felt different right off the bat. Not only because we haven't had an event like this in the past 2 years, but also because people feared that we might be moving towards the end of Gamescom altogether. This was largely caused by the announcement that industry giants like EA and Sony would not be present in any shape or form. Of course, speculations ran high as to the possible reasons behind this decision. They might have been financial in nature, given increased costs for pretty much everything. It's also possible that they just didn't feel like they had anything show-worthy to bring, or, as people speculated, they might have taken the decision to finally end their involvement with third-party conventions to fully concentrate on their own shows instead. After all, there's little to gain for these giants to chain themselves to fixed dates when they can deliver digital shows at any given time. There's no way to tell what the real reason for their absence was. Fact is, however, it created a deluge of worries and consequences. Not few people refrain from visiting because there is no point if the big ones aren't there. I'm not here to argue that this is not a legitimate point of view for some. However, I still would like to offer an alternative perspective that might change how we can look at gaming conventions and how we interpret the recent changes. Traditionally, gaming conventions have been one of the few contact points where gaming and politics could come together. And believe me, I know that not few of you will go, ugh, politics and video games should stay separated. But I'd like to believe that this intertwining of games and politics once again highlights the status of video games as an important form of high culture. Do politicians abuse these conventions for publicity purposes? Most definitely. But they also highlight that games have arrived in the middle of society. Gone are the days when even professional-level TV reports would focus on the negative stereotypes of gamers as sweaty, antisocial basement dwellers. Every year, this is reinforced by achieving new visitor records in the heart of Cologne. More importantly, one must realize that Gamescom does the wonderful thing of being both a professional working space and an entertainment convention for fans. Us mere mortals often don't realize the amount of business that is being done behind closed doors, or in this case behind access-restricted halls. It goes without saying that especially indie developers profit from the increased spotlight that Gamescom, for instance, offers. Games that you might have never heard of become much more accessible to a broader audience. Furthermore, exhibitors profit from the condensed nature of gaming conventions as they can meet up with partners, distributors, and seek new business relations. And it pays off. Millions of euros worth of business are completed every year. This is arguably not the main purpose of gaming conventions like Gamescom, but it is a beneficial side effect. If you ask me, events like Gamescom are a great opportunity for fans of video games from all over the world to celebrate games together. And even if that sounds mushy, it is the main reason why I love attending Gamescom. This year, for instance, I had the opportunity to meet up with video game enthusiasts from so many different cultures, yet we all shared the same passion. I talked to developers who were proud to present their indie games to the world, their vision of what games can achieve. I talked to executive producers like Joe Need, who were happy to talk about their plans and their stories of success. I talked to fans who had traveled hundreds and even thousands of miles to be a part of this event, not necessarily to play games, but also to meet up with their respective communities. As you can see, gaming conventions offer an important chance for fans of the medium to connect outside of digital spaces, something that, as pointed out before, is beneficial for gaming as a whole. I do admit, however, that Gamescom in particular needs to rethink its approach to influencer-fan relations. I understand that shows like these are a great chance for famous people to meet up with their communities, but there is a certain framework in which this must be achieved without negatively affecting the convention as a whole. The famous German Let's Player Gronk, for instance, whom I like to think of as the German PewDiePie without bad PR, is no longer allowed to roam Gamescom freely because it would result in uncontrollable havoc. Certainly not a great situation, but a sensible decision. This was proven when Germany's most successful Twitch streamer attended this year's Gamescom without notifying the organizers beforehand. As you can imagine, chaos ensued. Regular visitors were pushed out of the way by a mob of fans running after their idol. There were numerous accusations of homophobic insults being thrown around and reportedly even people suffering panic attacks. This is, without a doubt, unacceptable and contained the reputation of Gamescom long term. Yes, influencers and creators are an integral part of gaming conventions, but within reason. Gamescom must not make the mistake of catering too much to creators. There already are dedicated meet and greet events which work perfectly fine. This is something that definitely needs to be looked at in the future. Given that we're still living under pandemic-affected circumstances, it is no surprise that this year's Gamescom did not manage to break any visitor records. Should this be alarming? I don't think so. Yes, gaming conventions have to be careful how they approach future shows. What role should the public play? What do we want to or need to focus on? Which restrictions must be considered? Naturally, there isn't a definitive answer for these questions. If there were, we wouldn't be talking about a possible end of gaming conventions. If you ask me, Gamescom is in a much better place than E3. It is no secret that instead of waiting for these yearly events, publishers can use their reach on the internet to announce games and projects when they feel like it. This affects both Gamescom and E3 because seeing what's new has always been an integral part of conventions. However, Gamescom can easily shift its focus to the business and community side of things. Instead of revealing new teasers and trailers, people attend Gamescom for its atmosphere, for the community, to play a select number of games, to find new commercial opportunities. In short, to celebrate the games. This is why Gamescom can easily survive without the industry giants. That being said, I would certainly like to see the likes of Sony and PlayStation to reconsider their attitude towards gaming conventions. Of course, these conventions aren't made for everyone, and that is perfectly fine. Liking or attending Gamescom does not, as some people suggested, define a true gamer. But if there's one thing I hope to have shown in this video, then it is that there are numerous good reasons to continue the tradition of gaming conventions while making a few changes. I am, above all, very intrigued by E3's announcement for next year's show, as they seemingly go down a path that is similar to Gamescom. It remains to be seen how this will play out, but in my opinion it is the most sensible decision. What do you think? Do you feel like the times of gaming conventions are over, or do you see a potential for them to return to their former strength? We'd love to hear your opinion in the comment section. If you liked the video though, like it, dislike it if you didn't, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more of our content. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.